You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
All right, good morning. Welcome, everyone, to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be here with you. I'm glad that you are here with us. We've been going now for a little over a year in this carnation of Sudbury News Talk since last March, and it's been a great ride so far. Learned a lot of stuff, and we're live right now on CKLU 96.7 FM as we've been for the year. We're also streaming at CKLU.ca. You can just click on the Radio Player Canada logo and stream us. You can also download that same Radio Player Canada app and take us with you. Listen to us anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. And you can also stream us video at facebook.com/Sudbury News and youtube.com/Sudbury News. And thanks to our Facebook and YouTube moderators for the job they have to do. It is not easy in this day and age of trying to have a public discourse on issues that sometimes can be polarizing. And on those platforms, they have mandates to be able to have to monitor and make sure that comments are respectful, and also there's other things in there that each of those platforms would have that I'm not even aware of that they have to monitor. And so not easy job. And so thanks to you. And if you have to watch this show, I apologize. If it's not always the most entertaining or whatever, if you're not from Sudbury, Greater Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. And with that, welcome to all of those who have been joining us from all around the world. We really appreciate you coming on. We've noticed a lot of new people commenting, and so we encourage you to continue to do so, and not always have the same point of view as either of myself or the guest hosts or the people commenting. If you have another point of view, it is welcomed. This is probably one of the last remaining shows possibly that can have a format like that. And we want to continue that. We want people to feel comfortable sharing their points of views, no matter what they are or what your background is or what you have to say. Now, I know that many of us can feel very convicted in their feelings and in their experiences, and that sometimes comes through it, and that is okay as well. If you're passionate about something, just remember to remain respectful to others and others' points of view. And I do see that. I do see that in our comments from our contributors commenting on the show. So thank you very much for doing that, and continue to comment. And with that, good morning, Monique. Thanks for being with us. Great to see you. I hope you're having a great morning. Also, Vin, thanks for being with us. Hope you're having a great morning as well. It's going to be a great show. We got the Sudbury Cubs in action tonight, possibly going to seal the deal against the Espanola Paper Kings and move on to the second round in their playoffs. We have the Sudbury Wolves in action for the first time since 2019 in the playoffs against the Peterborough Petes. We'll talk about that. The Sudbury Five are on the top of their game. They're playing this weekend. All kinds of great sports. The Stephen Wright trial. My goodness, they came out with a verdict very quickly, and it was yesterday. They went into deliberations, and we already had a verdict by the end of the day. Obviously, we're going to be talking about that today, and so much more. There's lots to talk about, so we're going to get right into it after I give a shout out to entertainment in news is secondary. Yes, that is correct. Just hopefully it's entertaining when we're delivering, you don't want to just listen to someone who's just humdrum or an AI voice going through the news. So hopefully we're having a good time as well, and in having a good morning with everyone on. Speaking of that, good morning, David. Stay safe for sure. That's your tagline. Good morning, bud. Wade, on again. You were on yesterday as well from Pass It On Undercoating. Great business. If you, a lot of people think they need to get their undercoating in the fall, ready for winter, but Wade would tell you should get your undercoating done in the nice dry spring season. So that's a shout out coming up very shortly for all y'all. Get to Pass It On Undercoating. Wade can explain the reason why you want a couple undercoatings, and his particular one sticks longer, it works better, and you can take that to the bank. I know that because I use his service myself. So Pass It On Undercoating, Wade Hine. Thanks for being with us this morning, Wade. And also Judy, thanks for being with us. Good morning. Going to have a great show. Weather, sports, headlines. And I think Billy is coming on. I'm not sure what happened. Billy is usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But you never know. Sometimes an alarm clock might not go off or whatever, but we're always prepared on this show. We're prepared, and we'll all get through this show no matter what. Good morning, good people of Sudbury. That's from Belinda. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back with some weather, sports, headlines, and all y'all's comments, and unpacking some of our latest, greatest news from this city. We'll be back right after this. And Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. That's for anything Sudbury Weather. Just visit SudburyWeather.ca. Speaking of weather, minus 13 currently, feels like minus 19. It is colder than we've been used to lately, I guess you can say. It's a cold morning. I noticed it in the studio here. My hands are cold. It's not usually like that. Even in the dead of winter, it was warmer in the studio, and so it is cold out there. So make sure to dress appropriately today. And it's also mainly sunny, wind becoming southwest 30 kilometers, gusting to 50 this morning. Wow, yesterday's weather, right? Wasn't that the weirdest weather? It was like mixed. You get a gusting, some snow, and then it was clear, and then it was gusting again without snow. And it was just weird all along the North Shore and in Sudbury. Today, wind chill minus 20 this morning. And then tonight, clear, increasing cloudiness. After midnight, wind southwest 20 kilometers, gusting to 40. The low of minus 6, the wind chill minus 10 this evening. And cloudy periods tomorrow. Mix of sun and mix of snow mixed with ice pellets beginning early in the morning. Great. Got to travel again. Tomorrow just seems to be the days I travel. We got the weirdest weather. Snow mixed with ice pellets in the morning, and 5 to 10 centimeters of the stuff. Wind will be 15 kilometers, so not very windy. High of +1, and the wind chill will be -7 in the morning. Look at your forecast. Friday, high of 1, as we said, mixed snow pellets and snow and ice pellets. Saturday, snow or rain, high of 0. And then Sunday, we got a mix of sun and cloud, high of 1. Monday, it's chance of rain showers or flurries, high of 6. 60% chance, there you go. Tuesday, high of 4, mix of sun and cloud. And Wednesday, we got some more precipitation. So lots of precipitation in the forecast. Didn't get as much as they said, at least in Sudbury yesterday. I guess we had a little bit in the morning, and then we had some weird weather going on a little bit towards the end of the day. But a little look at your satellite for those on the radio. It's rather clear. And then if you're viewing it, you can see there's there's clouds. And then the clouds, that's last night, but mostly clear. There's the clouds from yesterday, and then mostly clear today. So there's your Sudbury weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. And Belinda says, Mother Nature needs to take her meds. And I agree with you on that. We just got so much weird weather. It's warm, it's sunny, it's It's snowing. We got a big dumping. Whatever. But we live in Sudbury, and we should expect this stuff, not be surprised by it. Sudbury Weather brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with some sports, headlines, and much, much more right after this. Sudbury Sports brought to you by SudburySports.com. That is Randy Pascal's sports website. And speaking of Randy Pascal, the Sports Hall of Fame induction returns June the 14th. And for the first time since 2019, Greater Sudbury will have their Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. They'll be adding names to the long list of outstanding local athletes. Not only is this event returning for the first time since the pandemic, but it's also combining a pair of new classes as we reconvene at the Caruso Club. So it's going to go on Wednesday, June the 14th. This year's event will welcome the class of 2020, which was announced just prior to the arrival of COVID-19, as well as the class of 2022. As you remember, because the pandemic happened and they couldn't actually get together and have this event. But the class of 2020, there's some big names in here. Robert Esme, you remember him, gold medalist in the relay, the Atlanta Olympics. Remember, he put blast off on the top of his head. Robert Esme inducted. Gary Foy, alpine ski builder and a coach. Fielding Brothers, boxing builders. Gary Trevisiol, sorry if I had pronounced your name incorrectly. I do that often. I'm a professional at doing that. For cycling, he's athlete, Olympian. Christine Jaworski, arm wrestler and athlete. John Bedell, sprint and canoe and athlete, Olympian. Terry Crisp, as you know, was the coach of the Sioux Greyhounds, won it all with them, and also went on to be a coach in the NHL and won the Stanley Cup as well in the NHL as a coach. He was also an NHL player for a stint. Jim Logan, hockey player, Olympian. Brent Hatton for golf, and he's also just an athlete. Tessa Benham, Olympic gold medalist with Team Canada hockey. Caperell fastball Mazookas in the newly created Norm Mayer Dynasty classification. So the announcement of the class of 2022 is expected before the end of April. We don't have those names yet. Those are the ones that are being inducted that from 2020 that didn't get a chance to be presented with the award in front of people and whatever. It was canceled. So the evening in question will belong completely to the new inductees as well. Investigate alternatives to recognize the annual award winners that have also become key part of the festivities. Tickets for the evening gala are $65 a person or $480 for a table of 8. They can be purchased at the House of Kin or by contacting the one and only Randy Pascal by phone 705-698-1627. And just to make his phone number public like that, someone who's as busy as him, his phone is always blowing up because he's so busy covering sports all the time. And or by email to info@sudburysports.com or Joe Drago by phone 705-207-3475. So yeah, the Sudbury Cubs also in action tonight. Tom Davies Arena in Lively taking on the Espanola Paper Kings. They have a 3-1 lead in that series and look to close it out tonight and move on to the second round against Espanola. And then you have your Sudbury Wolves in action against the Peterborough Petes tonight. First time since 2019 in the playoffs. And the Peterborough Petes are the team that we were hoping that they would go against, because they have a 3-1 record against them this season. And so that, if you're not sure, that's that's really good. That means they have a really good chance of getting through the first round. Even though the Peterborough Petes place a little bit ahead of them in the standings, they have a really, really great chance to get on to the second round this season. You can catch that game on Eastlink if you have Eastlink cable. You can also catch it on the radio right here on CKLU 96.7 FM. Tonight, 7:05. We'll probably be airing probably 6:45 or so. You can catch the pregame on that. David Bowen should have the call with that game on CKLU. Also, then they're in action again tomorrow night. So back to back. Then get your tickets for the Sudbury Wolves in town for their 2 games here Tuesday and Wednesday, April the 4th and April the 5th, respectively. Get your tickets early because those games will sell out. It's the first time in the playoffs in that many years, and it's exciting hockey. Hopefully they come away with at least a W. The worst case scenario, a split, and then best case scenario, win the first 2 games, and it'll be a great couple of games here. Get your tickets before they're sold out for Tuesday and Wednesday. Sudbury Wolves against the Peterborough Petes in town. And then also the Sudbury 5, they will be playing this weekend against the Kansas City, the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans back-to-back. They're on a 6-game winning streak, so they're looking to extend 7 and 8 games winning streak. So that'll be Saturday and Sunday against the Kitchener-Waterloo Titans. So lots of sports going on here in Sudbury, a lot of excitement. So make sure to get out and support local sports. And that is your sports segment brought to you by Randy Pascal, that Sudbury Sports Guy, and his website, sudburysports.com. We'll be back with headlines and much, much more right after this. All right, well, why don't we just get into a little bit of some gas prices. We haven't covered gas prices in a little while, so how about we just look at that? Currently, well, it's as recent as 21 hours ago, so you never know how that goes. 21 hours ago, Pioneer was the cheapest on the Falconbridge Road at $140, $140 on the Kingsway. Canadian Tire was $140. $141, UP Costco $147 as of 30 minutes ago. So I bet you these prices have already jumped up as Costco is probably setting the tone in town. And as I came into town yesterday, the gas prices looked at about $150 or so for all the latest on gas prices. And if you want to be a contributor, so that way, you know, if you're going by a gas station at any particular time, it'll keep, I don't know if any of you guys want to be, you know, get involved with even helping out this show. So the segment will be a little bit more up to date. If you are going to contribute to Gas Buddy, you get the app and I guess you just report gas prices from different places. Could be a pain in the butt. But if you wanted to get involved and do that, that would be awesome. Because, I mean, 21 hours ago, it's not really all that current. And so it'd be really great to, you know, on the segments on the show, have the current gas prices. It'd be really beneficial for people in Sudbury to be up on that. But anyways, gas prices brought to you by gasbuddy.ca or .com, I believe. /Sudbury. We'll be back with headlines right after this. Okay, so Sudbury News. We are going to have a breakdown on all of the headlines and possibly some deep dives this morning. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows where the the conversation is going to take us. But obviously, the big headline from yesterday, the Renee Sweeney case, or the Robert Stephen Wright trial for the murder of Renee Sweeney. They came out with their so we shared this right away yesterday, so I'm going to go down to the bottom. Headline: Robert Stephen Wright found guilty in Renee Sweeney murder. That's from CTV Northern Ontario. Learned that the jury of Robert Stephen Wright has found him guilty of second-degree murder in the stabbing death of Renee Sweeney in Sudbury. Mixed emotions on that, obviously, because there's a lot of... It was polarized. Either people totally thought he was innocent, people totally thought he was guilty. The main thing was, how did his DNA get under the fingernails of Renee Sweeney was what we thought here on the show. And good morning, Diane. Bon matin. Happy that you're with us this morning. Hope you're having a great morning. So that's the main headline here. And get rid of that. Sudbury Star reporting that abrupt shouts followed by tears came from the corner of the courtroom Wednesday, where Sister Kim Sweeney, accompanied by close friends and family members, were seated late Wednesday afternoon as the jury delivered its verdict following about 14 hours of deliberation. In sharp contrast, Wright, now 43, did not show any emotion. Neither did many of his family members and supporters seated behind him. That's something I always thought was interesting. If I was being, accused of something and I went to trial and I was found guilty, I don't know. I guess everybody's different. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. Some people could break down and some people hold things in. So I don't think you can make anything of it. I've just always been interested in people's emotional reaction to when they're, whether they're given the death penalty or life in prison. I mean, your life is now not your own, and for many, many years at least. That's going to impact you. What goes through somebody, especially if you're innocent. If you're innocent and the verdict comes down. But again, everybody reacts differently. And I think I heard from some sources that there's going to be, even though he was found guilty of second-degree murder, they're going to be appealing this. And with that, good morning, Jennifer. Hope you're having a great morning. And Belinda says, the evidence must have been pretty compelling because the jury didn't take long to deliberate. That is true, too. I was driving home from work yesterday, and I heard it breaking news on the radio, and I was like, I couldn't believe. I think it was a little after 4:00. They came back with the verdict. Vin, my sentiments exactly, possibly on the reaction of people when they're found guilty, whether they were innocent or guilty. It's just the reaction is very, very interesting. I do watch a lot of. I do watch a lot of true crime stories, shows, as a lot of people do these days. It seems to be a popular genre. And I'm fascinated by the psychology of it all. First of all, what would drive somebody to commit an atrocity like that in the first place? I just always marvel at what would bring someone to the point of that's an option for them, is to take another life in any way, shape, or form, or harm somebody in a drastic way, whether or not it's taking their life or just leaving a scar on their life in a really negative way. What causes these types of things? What goes through people's minds? Anyways, so the second-degree murder conviction carries with it an automatic life sentence. The only issue left to decide is being the parole eligibility. So when will he be eligible for parole, and how many years will he be eligible? With a range of 10 10 to 25 years to choose from, jury members returned following the short deliberation, and the results were eye-opening. 2 jurors recommended parole ineligibility, so meaning he will never be eligible for parole. For Wright, should be 20 years. 1 recommended 22 years, 2 recommended 23 years, and 7 recommended 25 years. So the majority of them recommended 25 years, with a few of them, not being able to have parole, and a couple of them being eligible for parole in 20 years and 22 years. A sentencing hearing date for Wright will be set in Superior Assignment Court April the 4th, so we won't have to wait very long for that. After 25 years, this is from Kelly Irvine. She was Kim Sweeney's close friend. She said, after 25 years, the Sweeney family is very happy with the judgment today. Kim Sweeney's close friend, she was her close friend. She told reporters in the courthouse, Renee Sweeney got justice after what horribly happened to her 25 years ago. Kim Sweeney and her family are thrilled. Also, the Sudbury Crown Attorney Rob Parsons, also, along with Assistant Crown Attorney Kevin Ludgate, prosecuted the case for the Crown, said, we're pleased with the results. The jury took a great deal of time clearly going through the evidence. They did real hard work. We're very pleased. The jury took a great deal of time. I don't know about that. We had the verdict very quickly. Here's a picture of them after the case. And let's just listen into a little bit of their comments on what they had to say after the trial outside the courthouse. Hopefully the volume will work properly, loud enough.
One thing, if you've done any jury trials, and I'm sure the press knows about it, there's lots of speculation, and it's virtually impossible to guess. But there was a bit of guesswork on the go. I don't think anybody was terribly surprised.
Mr. Lacey has indicated that there was an improper Crown closing argument, content, etc. He's got some issues with it. How do you feel about that?
I guess that's something Mr. Lacey will deal with, however it's dealt with. I was content with the closing that the Crown presented, which is probably the best I could say about it.
What was it like to tell Kim after all this time?
It was one of those reasons that gets you through long nights working to get ready for a trial like this. 4 years of since the charge was laid, knowing Kim as I've got to know her and the loss that she suffered through all this. It's the reason Crown attorneys do what Crown attorneys do.
Yeah, so unfortunately the sound is pretty caca. It's not the greatest in the world, but you get the point, you get the picture. The family also made some comments after, and hopefully the volume's better for that. So we'll hopefully have that in a few minutes. They also said this was one of those whodunits. He said it was a long road getting here, and you heard all the evidence. So Parsons said preparing for the trial was a demanding task that took up a lot of time and energy. It's the reason the Crown attorneys do what Crown attorneys do. There were a lot of issues in the trial, and Mr. Wright had the benefit of a very competent counsel. It was a pleasure to work with them. For the lead investigator, Sergeant Robert Weston, who took on the Sweeney murder case in 2013 and later decided to contact an American company, Parabon, which had developed a new DNA research tool that could produce a composite of a person based on a DNA sample. And that's where they got the DNA result that turned out to be Robert Stephen Wright's under the fingernails of Renee Sweeney. So it wasn't until that particular new technology was available that they were able to actually get the DNA and point out that it was his, and then charge him based on that. That composite then led to Weston doing genealogical research work and ultimately Wright's arrest. So they were able to pin it down to his family through this DNA, and then ultimately get to, who in this family could have possibly been around this scene at the time, and got down to. So it was the DNA that alerted them to this particular person, Robert Stephen Wright. Now, a lot of people do say he is innocent. However, you would have to explain this technology that they had that takes the DNA and at least finds the family. It doesn't quite pinpoint the person right away. And then through that, they were able to funnel down to which person in that family could have been in that area at that time. And hence, Robert Stephen Wright was going to school in close proximity there. And so then he then admits, and then his fingerprints were found in the scene. He admits he was there. That's pretty telling in a lot of ways, through this process. So that would have to be explained for those that still feel that he is innocent. We would still have to have that explained to us somehow. And we talked about that at length. He said that he administered first aid, CPR to her when he found her. And could they demonstrate how that process then could lead to her DNA getting on his fingernails? That could explain it, right? If they're able to show that, or he's able to demonstrate that. I don't think he tried to in the trial whatsoever. And that may have, if he could have demonstrated that, helped him. So let's see, so many comments coming through. So Jason says it was a witch hunt. He is innocent. Oh, interesting. Okay. So watch the courts here. So get your comments here. Watch the courts here. We'll get sued huge with the cops. This was a witch hunt. The family tried to coerce a jury member. Okay, I was going to share that too. I'm still going to share that. Why don't I just share that now? This was out yesterday, just before the breaking story here. Here is a picture of the vehicle, the back of the vehicle, which was parked right outside the court house for the jury members when they were coming in to see this decal on the back of the truck, basically saying guilty AF, and we should know what that stands for. If not, guilty as F. There you go. So that's what it stands for. So apparently, Kim Sweeney, Renee Sweeney's sister, had that on her truck and parked it so that way jury members could see it as they were going in. Now, does this mean that Robert Stephen Wright was innocent and that there is a conspiracy of some kind from the family, and he is innocent just because that someone wants to? So let's say he's guilty, but yet the family still wants to influence the jurors. That doesn't mean that he's still not guilty. It just means that the family, in this case, Kim Sweeney, did something that wasn't right. She should not have done that. You shouldn't try to influence jurors in any way, shape, or form. However, I've never lost a sibling to a murder, and I've never gone through something like this, and I don't know what I would do in a situation like that, right? So there's a lot of emotion. A lot of people talk about when they're in courtrooms too, and they're seeing the person who murdered their loved one, and they're sitting like feet away, sometimes very close, and the emotions they have to contain themselves not to jump across the bench or whatever and grab them and physically do something to them, right? They have to have a lot of restraint. And so is this a way that the sister was just kind of showing her disdain and wanting to show that? Who knows, right? Who knows what we would do or what that is? Does that mean he's innocent because the family, in this case the sister, puts this decal on the car. I'm not sure about that. I would just say that's the way she was trying to influence the jury, so that we know that was wrong. That was a wrong thing. Okay, so Jason also saying Sudbury judges are corrupt, which I have some personal experience with. And yes, you're going to get corrupt judges everywhere. And in Sudbury, we are not immune to that. That is true. And cops can be corrupt. You're right. That is true. Everywhere. People are people, and they're going to make decisions that are right and wrong, no matter where they are. And yes, we will have, as ratios will show, in Sudbury, we're going to have corrupt cops as well. And in this case, there was a lot of questionable tactics used to gather the evidence and the way they were investigating the case. There was a lot of questionable things going on there. This case should have been in another city. Great point there, because why is that? Why do cases get done in other cities? Because the bias of the people involved is part of that community, right? So a lot of times when there's too much bias in a community, a lot of police maybe that could have been held accountable, let's say, things that are too close to home, you want to have it in a unbiased place, and that would be in another city. So good point on that, Jason, much appreciated. Wow, how did that happen? Not sure what you were referring to at the time, or Belinda, but someday should have picked up on that, and that should have been addressed. Oh, somebody should have picked up on that, and it should have been addressed. Okay, I feel no matter who was arrested in this, they were automatically guilty in the public's eye. I'm very on the fence about this. In the end, how does your DNA end up under her nails? Exactly. So that's the crux of it. Now watch this. So we will even add another layer of the conspiracy brush, I guess. Have police ever been found to add someone's DNA to something? Yes. Did that happen in this case? Did someone go back and put his fingerprints in blood on the cash drawer? Possibly not, because Robert Stephen Wright admitted that he was there. So that's interesting. He said he didn't know. Maybe he possibly got up and, touched the cash drawer on the top and the bottom. But the DNA, again, wasn't, like, how would the police have known when they didn't know who was in there to put his DNA underneath her fingernails, or say it was under her nails if this was corruption? If they didn't even know who it was anyways, and it just turned out he was in there, no one knew it was him. So that would have been weird. If how could that have even happened? So that is the thing. How did his DNA get under her fingernails? The system needs an overhaul. Now that is true. So all of this is true that we're saying on the show here. Having said that, though, have you ever seen justice done as well? So you will see good judges, and I've seen them. Because I've been, I've had a lot of history, and I've been in courts quite a bit, whether it's for myself or for other people. I've often taken people under my wing and helped them in times in my life. I've been in positions where I've had to do that. So I've been in the court system quite a bit. I owned a rush delivery service. It was the precursor to Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, DoorDash, all that. I actually helped develop the first online ordering software for restaurants in Canada. And I sold the business before the app came out. And so if I would have held on to the business before the advent of the app, I technically would have been skip the dishes before even them. I used to notice skip the dishes on my website all the time. I'm like, who skipped the dishes? Why are they always on my website doing research? As you can see through the analytics. So because I had this rush delivery service, I was a driver driving all over the place. I was probably stopped at least once, twice a week. And then I worked with the Sudbury Star for their distribution. So I was always on the road, cops everywhere. And at that time, they don't do this anymore. They barely stop people for traffic. They were really clamping down at the time. So I've met all kinds of officers, and I could pretty much say it's an even split between the ones that are just come across as if they're part of the mafia. That's what I experienced anyways, and using their power, in a way that wasn't respectful to myself. And then 50% who actually went out of their way to be respectful. Judges, same thing. I was a part of a case where I myself went through something where there was a judge that I questioned their verdict, and it seemed to be everyone got together and made the decision, and I was left out of that. And I saw the fact that there could be corruption in our court system. And then I also saw many times through other people where the justice was served and they just followed the law. And so for us to make blanket statements, we are in a world of good and evil. We're in a world of good and bad. And sometimes the darker side prevails and sometimes the good side prevails. And sometimes we're on the good side, and sometimes we get to break and we're like, wow, I should have been the book thrown at me here, and we get off on something that really we should have been held accountable for. And so just depends sometimes the flip of the coin, which side you're going to end up on there. The system, however, is corroding. If you're finding the legal system, any system we have right now is corroding by design, because there is a movement out there to take down this particular system that we have built up over time. So corruption is one side, and then there's an actual concerted effort to take down our system. You just have to go to university and you'll hear what that is, because our system is wrong. It's wrong for their reasons. It's different reasons than what we're saying on this show, but either way, they teach the new students today to go out and take down the system, not telling them what kind of new system to put in its place, though. That's what they always leave out. You need to fight this system, speak truth to power, as they say it. But it's unfortunately, they're just putting out a bunch of activists just to be an activist for all kinds of things that are just going to make our society a lot more strange, and it's just going to break up society, and then we don't really have any solutions of what to build up instead of it. But it was working rather well. If you look back, like the founding fathers of the United States, the people who put the legal system in this country is the very thing universities are saying you need to fight against, and you need to take it down. You need to take down the statues, take down any kind of thing that looks like it has any tradition or any value from the past, but they don't tell you the new thing you're going to build up. They just say, tear all that down. So that we're seeing that, but we're also seeing corruption from within. It's like a cancer or a rust. And unfortunately, we see that. But to paint the brush that all the cops are corrupt, all the judges are corrupt, is not correct either, as you can agree on that. Oh, I just seen it firsthand myself, so I do know that. So the DNA was found. The DNA was so little to begin with, therefore it could not be, or it could have been a transfer DNA. There was also other DNA at the scene, and it was ignored. Okay, that's interesting again, right? If you have more information on that than I have, or than has been publicized, that could add some light to it. There is good justice, just never seen it in Sudbury yet. It's kind of funny. Okay. They do. So there's a movement, right? And this is part of that movement I'm talking about, where they let go, you can say pedophiles, or now the new term is minor attracted people. So there's a movement that's even renaming pedophilia to minor attractedness, and that's the movement I'm talking about. That's just there to tear down society. And so they are getting into, they're influencing people in high places and changing our system. So yeah, they're getting off easy. Defense lawyers make more deals in Sudbury than all of Ontario. And I can't say whether that's true or not, because I don't have the statistics on that, but I could take your word for it. Having a cold case solved would be great publicity for the Sudbury police. For sure. Having any case solved, and we talked about that on this show before, there's a pressure to find the perpetrator for the public's sake, because the public wants you to solve crimes. That's what police do. They're supposed to do. And so if you're not doing it, that sometimes would show incompetency, and you don't want to show that to the public. You want to show, the law always gets their man, or the sheriff always gets their man, whatever the saying was back in the day. And for public safety concerns as well, right? Our sovereignty globally is under attack. So again, talked about some of these movements going on, and that would go along with that for sure. That's what all of this is about. Watch the Greater Sudbury Police Service is going to do a media blitz as if they were heroes, and Jason's views is that they're zeros. Okay. It's true. Like, again, there's good and bad. So there are some zeros there. There are also some heroes that I've seen, Greater Sudbury Police, firsthand, even recently. So I have to give a shout out to all those individuals who are doing their job in the right way. And people who aren't, well, maybe it'd be good if they had a change of heart and started to do that. Moral courage needs to get their butts back into their city halls and not take their crap. They can't jail the whole city. Everyone, numbers matter. Okay, moral courage needs to get their butts back into their city halls. I really like that point of view. So that's what I'm talking about. It's not even individuals. It's what's in individuals, whether they're moral, ethical, law-abiding, just nice people, and not susceptible to some of these ideologies or whatever of just being corrupt or paid off or going to do the wrong thing just to get, to feed your ego, things like that. So there's moral character that's been corroded as well in our society that I think really is at the heart of corruption or doing the right thing or not doing the right thing, right? So moral character, we need some more infusion of moral character in all of our systems. So that way the corrosion aspect or any outside forces trying to take them over, you can really stand up to those things. There's been an attack against moral character going on forever, since there's been moral character. The victims, okay, we're getting really deep here, guys. The victims of Masons needs to come forward to bring light on the Little Boys Club. Okay, sure, and I'm not exactly sure what that is exactly about, but again, so if you have groups, whether it be Masons, whether it be whatever it is, a religious organization, a cliquey group, that's above the law, anything like that, that's where the moral integrity needs to come into play with people that are in positions of power. Like Rush says, the men who hold high places must be the ones who start to mold a new reality closer to the heart. Correct? Neil Peart. Great lyricist, poet, and left us far, far too soon. Erica, may help them appear to be more than window tint heroes. These sayings, I've never heard these before. Window tint heroes. That's interesting. Okay, window tint. Is that for the guilty AF thing that we have here. I'm not sure, but I'll give you that beautiful. Oh, thank you. The lyrics from Rush, I'm sure you're alluding to. The lack of moral fiber is the breakdown of society. 100% agree. That is it. Now, unfortunately, the media seems to have their new kind of version of this moral integrity kind of thing. They're giving us this new kind of, all-inclusive type social justice warrior moral replacement for the morals we possibly had. I'm speaking myself. I'm a little over 50 years old. Back in the day of the do the right thing, it's a different do the right thing. So we're getting fed this other kind of moral, ideology. If we're talking about get morals, where it's based on division. So it's based on your race, your color, your political points of view, these types of things, and they're saying, it's good to be nice to a certain group of people and to to say certain things a certain way, and we're hearing this kind of religious almost ideology coming through the media, through our schools, in corporate worlds, where they're getting behind this new moralistic type of ideology, which is not the kind that I'm talking about today. It's doing the right thing. All people are equal, regardless. Nobody deserves any better than anyone else. Everyone deserves the same chances, regardless of any group that you're in, regardless of race, creed, color, language, whatever political point of view. We're all the same. We all need to realize this soon and all get on the same page. We all want the same things, really, and we need to stand up for things like that. However, I don't have a lot of faith that on the whole, I think we're witnessing, we're on the deck of the Titanic kind of thing. The bow is under the water, in the movie. The violins are out, they're playing Nearer, My God, to Thee. And, so now the moral things are to do is get all the women and children in the boats. It's do the right thing while the Titanic is sinking kind of thing. Because I think you're seeing all these systems and whatever, whether it be economic, political, military, education, everything. Everything is seeming to be like an overripe fruit in some cases. And it's individual now. You kind of have to just, in your sphere of influence, in what you can do, is just do what you can do in that. I think we're all in the Titanic, and now it's, okay, are we going to be that villain guy who pays off someone and pretends that you're going to pick up a child that's not yours and get into the boat when it's not your turn? Man, I thought I would have a hard time with this show, but at the same time just flies. I can't believe it. Wow, we're already done in terms of time. I apologize for that, taking up all of the time. Sudbury Greater Police is just known to focus on stupidity like window tint and tires more than actual crime. Okay, the little things. Yeah, getting stopped for little things. Now I see what you mean by that. Yeah. Belinda says, look at the Pride jerseys that they're trying to make hockey players wear, and it's nice to see that they're getting major pushback. So that's the type of thing I'm saying. Like, if I don't want to wear a jersey, that should be my... And I don't say necessarily, and they come out and say, it's not because I'm against it, which is great. Imagine they come out and said, I'm totally against it. Imagine the lashback that a person would get for that. And they're just saying, no, I'm not. I actually think it's good that people want to do what they want to do. You're telling me to wear a sweater. You're telling me how I'm supposed to support it. If I went out there and told people to do something to show their support with me, it's almost like the poppy thing. If I see someone not wearing a poppy, okay, I think, well, it's kind of crappy they're not remembering, but at the same time, hey, maybe they put on their the wrong blazer that day and their poppy's on their jacket, like it happens to me sometimes. Or maybe they just don't really know about, maybe they're a newcomer to Canada, they didn't really realize it, and okay, that's okay. I'm not going to force somebody and then publicly shame them, and something like that is supporting our troops, the people who fought for our freedom. I mean, that to me could be possibly a little more important. The freedom to have us now want to include someone who's been ostracized in the LGBTQ plus community for so many years, that allowed us to be able to at least have that openness to even entertain that idea. Whereas before it wasn't there. So there's freedoms there that we need to kind of acknowledge. And so wearing a poppy to me would be more important to push than putting on a pride jersey. The poppy was the thing that even led to the fact that we were even talking about a pride jersey these days, right? So with that, I got to leave it there. There's so many great comments coming through, guys. And I apologize again, I'm not able to get them all up on the screen, but I'm going to do my best as I just let you know that Earshot Daily's coming up now on CKLU. Catch the game tonight, the Sudbury Wolves in action against the Peterborough Petes. First game of the playoffs. Catch it on Eastlink TV if you have it. If you don't, catch it right here. David Bowen will have the call. CKLU 96.7 FM at 7:05. Tune in probably around 6:45. We'll have the pregame. And we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. Catch the Earshot Daily right following this show on CKLU. We'll be back. Have a great and safe Thursday, everyone. Go Wolves, go. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.